difficulties.
Is your viewer still there?
No, I mean he might show back up. I don't know. Rye and Ayla, they got their own like little thing going on.
If he doesn't show up, I'm going to be pissed. I think we should kick him out of the site if he doesn't show up.
I'll be talking to him again tomorrow because we usually are playing like a ghost hunting game or something. I decided to move on from it. I didn't even bother acknowledging it.
I'm just joking anyway. He's probably a great guy.
All right then, with that very deflating moment of technical difficulties on audio that I solved because the issue I caused, we're back and we're live now. So I think that just started recording, but back from the technical difficulties. We don't got much longer to, I guess, much more to talk about in this episode. I think we stopped talking. I stopped talking because I was talking to myself for the entirety of that first half of the podcast.
You were talking about how terrible a person the father is. Endeavor.
I wasn't talking about how bad of a father he was. I was just saying that, like, his daughter.
The general consensus is that everybody in his family hates him, and that he acknowledges that, and he's trying to make amends, and that basically the language he used when talking with his children was that it was his fault, and it wasn't like a matter of opinion or something. He's like, I'm going to try to make it right now.
Everybody in the family hates him. His daughter doesn't.
Most of them. She is trying to make it right, but you can tell she's trying to patch things up a little bit. It doesn't sound.
Yeah, I don't think she has any resentment towards him, though, from what I could tell.
Yeah, it's weird that she wouldn't like empathize with her mother when she's been beaten by this guy and everything.
Where is this him punching her? I really don't understand that, because as far as I can tell,
used her as like a breeding vessel.
Yeah, but she consented. It wasn't like she got raped.
How do we know?
From what I can tell, the mother didn't seem like she was raped, as far as I can tell.
Dude, she threw scalding water on her son's face because he reminded her. Like, that's some pretty deep trauma.
Yeah, but I don't think that has anything to do with her having her will taken from her in terms of like sexual orientation.
I think you just want that to be the case.
No, I really don't know, but I got some insight because of a friend who really wants to talk to me about My Hero Academia from where he is, but some of that I don't really know. I really can't answer that because I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I said before, like I don't know. Endeavor, as you said, Endeavor's trying to make it amends. He's not asking for forgiveness. He's just trying to fix what he started. Now because he's realized that he's trying to part of the role that was given to him from All Might was to ensure everybody's future. He started thinking about that as he started thinking about the futures that he's already ruined.
Right. So
for
now
his children.
He's like, crap. Now these kids are like connected to my career. I better spend some time with them.
You're making him seem like such more of a worse person. I don't think what he's done is unforgivable. I will say that. I don't think he's a totally unsavable guy. Because I mean, a guy who was it was a dick, he wouldn't be having these self-reflections. Which, yes, he's having them late, but he's having them at all.
Mm-hmm.
Most bad people would not be having a self-reflection.
Did you know that Hitler loved dogs?
Pretty sure Hitler liked a lot of things. Besides, like, there is no comparison. There is no comparison to Hitler and Endeavor. Why are you making these drastic comparisons?
I'm just saying that Hitler loved dogs. You're the one. It's funny. I said Hitler, and you immediately thought of Endeavor.
That's the only you would think of it. Hitler has no bearing on this thing.
I didn't bring up Endeavor. I just said Hitler, and immediately you're like, "Why are you connecting it to Endeavor?" I'm like, oh, "Man, I didn't say that. You're the one."
There's no reason you would bring up Hitler. He has no bearing on this.
What if I just felt like there was a lot of tension in our conversation and I was trying to like change the subject or something and you just thought...
Right, I don't know what you came back to. He brought up Hitler. Apparently, I know in his mind. There's some connection he's trying to make to Endeavor. I don't know what connection he's trying to make here. He's eventually going to make it. Like I said, I don't know what he came back to. I don't know if you can hear him. I mean, I'll give him a couple minutes to speak into the microphone just to see if he's here, but I can't guarantee that you can hear him.
Is someone on the podcast right now?
Yeah, Rye came back.
Oh, cool. Can you hear me?
As I
Can
tried to,
you hear me?
let's try to eat this apple pie. It's delicious. Homemade apple pie.
I hope you hear me. You just barely.
Yeah, he could hear him.
Oh, cool.
I fixed everything. I mean, I still got to go back and fix what I broke earlier on, but that's not happening tonight. But and we're gonna go music list right now too, so I can figure that out. Wow. Yeah, I broke whatever I was trying to fix. I was trying to be smart and try to fix the issue I was having with like having audio in the background on the same track. I really wanted to separate Jock's voice from the music so that way I could boost his audio in the case people couldn't hear him. That worked out well. But besides that I ran, I went on Endeavor. But Endeavor's trying to at least Natsu was the one who really freaked out. Shoto just sat there and just ate noodles and like first congratulated Endeavor as the hero, but also talked about that he's waiting to see if he really has changed.
Yeah.
So it's like, but Natsuo believes he hasn't changed. He believes it's all a facade. I feel like a lot of Natsuo, his second oldest son, a lot of his issues, because that's the second time he brought up. Is it Toyo? The name of the missing kid? I forgot the name of the name. I think it's Toyo. It's the second time he's brought him up, and he's always been angry in conjunction with that name. Why are you
Toya?
Why are you making Velveeta? I keep on hearing this. You even need to stop eating so much cheese. Sorry, but what do you say, Joe?
Velveeta's pretty badass. You get some Velveeta, mix it up with some paste pecani sauce, and throw in a little Monterey Jack cheese to make it nice and gooey. And a whole Jimmy Dean sausage. Just cook it up and throw it in there. You got yourself some really, really good nacho dip. Or it's actually better with Fritos, but nobody knows what a Frito is.
I know what a Frito is. What are you talking about?
I just like people like Fritos are like obscure compared to nachos.
You talking about Fritos the chip or something else entirely?
Fritos the chip.
Okay. Toya. The name of the missing kid is Toya.
Toya could totally be Dobby if that's what you're getting at. I just don't really know.
I mean, Toya is the missing kid. That's what I was saying. Toya is like because it seems like Natsuo, his second oldest son, has a lot of problems with him in conjunction with Toya missing. Because I could see like anytime he speaks to us, then he gets really upset. This isn't the first time he got really upset missing him. But as he walks out, he storms out, pretty much saying that you haven't changed, stuff like that. His oldest daughter, well, his only daughter, is like trying to bring the family together again. Well, I will have to say it's kind of weird that she doesn't seem to hold any of that resentment. But then again, when he was fighting that Nomu, she didn't hold any of that resentment either when talking to her younger brother.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's the weird thing. Like she adds the intrigue to the whole thing that she is willing to make it up because everybody else is completely united front about this. She's got that basic like middle child like thing going for her, which is really interesting. But like,
I think she's the oldest though.
But she's got that middle child like personality going. She definitely doesn't look like the oldest, but I mean, she could be.
Let me look that up real quick. I wanted to make sure. I thought she was. I could have sworn I read somewhere that she was the oldest. Fuyumi is her name. I thought she was I know she's the only daughter. She is the older sister of Shoto and Natsu, the younger sister of Toya. The only daughter of Enji and Rei Todoroki. but it doesn't. She's definitely the older brother on Natsuo. She's older than Todoroki. She's older than Shoto and Natsuo, but she's younger than the missing brother.
Hmm.
So technically speaking, she kind of is the middle child, but he
She's
ain't
I was
he
say
ain't
she's
there right
acting
now.
like the middle child's always been like the peacemaker and the one that kind of brings people together.
But I mean, even with that, Jock, Natsuo's kind of unfairly angry because the only thing he can claim that he kind of did was just not be in his life. And Fuyumi should have that same problem, but
He also mentioned what you did to Mother, whatever that was. Legitimately, he did something to Mother. You know what I mean? Like we don't know what, but it's they've been saying it straight out. They've been making lots of
yeah,
references
I
to it.
get that, but they should be more angry at her too, mainly because she also did something to Shoto. She shouldn't be she shouldn't be innocent. Is what I'm getting is the entire thing. She shouldn't be innocent. Cause I'm still in the whole concept like, why didn't she leave? Stockholm syndrome aside, she should have been able to leave because she's not powerless. She's got a quirk. Like, and part of the reason why, and part of the reason like those two work together anyways, because like Endeavor can't cool himself down. I mean, we were talking about like what he could have done to help that situation out, but he can't cool himself down, and she's able to tame the flames. She could have frozen him and thrown him into hypothermia and ran away. She's not weak. So like,
Okay, but not being weak doesn't mean you have to be like violent or something. You know what I mean? You can be not weak and still not want to like freeze somebody.
I'm just saying that she had all the ability to leave. I still firmly believe that she can't, in my mind, she can't be 100% innocent because
So if someone's beaten by their husband and they don't leave them, and
I
you
think
feel
I think
like
that's a totally different story. I think that's a totally because I feel like her situation with Endeavor is a little bit different than a normal like being held captive situation. Like I truly do feel like her situation with Endeavor is a little bit different than a normal wife being held against her will. That's just my 2 cent, $50, whatever you gonna call it.
$50. So why do you defend? Do you know something I don't know? Like, are you going to turn out and say like later on, I told you so because like you know something I don't know about all this? Because like,
I don't know. I
I
don't
mean, the
know what's
story,
really going on. I found
the
out a
story is
small.
like ravenously implying that like he's done something terrible.
I don't
It's
know if he's done. I just feel like if he did do something, at the end of the day, people like to. The thing is, like, I'm not defending what Endeavor did. I'm just gonna let the flail. I'm not defending what Endeavor did. What he did was bad. But whenever the conversation of Endeavor and his family come up, Endeavor always gets a lot of the blame, and nobody ever looks at the mother. Cause like
okay.
in my opinion, she had as much of a grip on that family as Endeavor did. You can sit there and say that she couldn't do this, she couldn't do that. I don't believe that. I believe she could have done anything she wanted because she is just as powerful as he is, in my opinion. For crying out loud, like he was you he made. I mean, one of the main reasons he even got her is because I mean one of the reasons that he flat out set out was like he was trying to make a perfect kid with his quirk, and he needed a successor that could use the full extent of his power without getting burnt, and
Hmm.
that's why she was the perfect candidate. So to me, she isn't a weak, feral woman. If somebody can deal with Endeavor, she isn't a weak, feral woman. Now, granted, what we saw before, that completely contradicts that entire statement. But I don't, I still feel like she's somewhat to blame. She can't be innocent. Yeah, she's in a mental institution, but I don't think she's 100% innocent. And I believe that's what we don't know. As far as certain things I know, there's some things I know because I was talking to a friend and he kind of said some things without spoiling too much for me. But I don't know the true relationship between Endeavor and his wife. I don't know 100% what's going on with Toya or what even going on with the family. Um,
Hmm.
there's quite a few bits and pieces I don't know. And honestly, when we get to those points in the story, I will forget I even knew that. So I mean, I can't say I know more than you do. Basically, my ravenous is towards like I understand. Endeavor has at this point, the very big up to this point in the story, been told in the story wise as this really arrogant, uncaring dude. He's trying to make amends for it. He doesn't think he deserves to be what's the word crap, I forgot the name, I forgot he doesn't believe he needs to be turned around because he's done some horrible things in his past. I mean, he's taking responsibility for it, but I still feel like she has to hold some responsibility. I don't know what that responsibility is, but she can't be innocent. At least 100%. She can't be innocent.
Say she can't, other than scarring Todoroki, which is obviously terrible. Like we know, at least we have the full account of that. She like was overwhelmed with emotion. She lost control. Um, you know what I mean? Like we think that this is a one-time thing as far as we can tell. But other than that moment, like what do we? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I just had this gut feeling that she just can't be 100% innocent. Because I still sit there and say you believe that she couldn't gotten away. I don't believe that. Like I really don't believe that. I don't know what she has done for me to strongly believe that, but I 100% believe she could have gotten away. She didn't have it didn't have to come down to her being so afraid of her own son to burn him in the face. Like there was stuff I feel like she could have done. Like I
Mhm.
really do feel like she just because like she's not powerless. As much as like, you can say that maybe Endeavor beat that into her, but I still don't think so. Because she had kids with him. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was like forced or not because they don't say that. I mean,
At that
and
at
a
that
little
point,
bit.
she from a really long time ago, right? Like her youngest kid was like what 8? 6 or something. Like 6 is a good amount of time for like something to happen.
Who are we talking about now? Wait, what?
Well, like you're saying, she had kids with him. Like by the time she had kids with him, like the youngest kid was like what 6? Like that was plenty of time for like something to happen. Like a relationship can definitely go bad in 6 years, plus the 9 months of pregnancy.
I just feel like there's still some variables. I just like the concept that she is 100% innocent doesn't sit right with me in a relationship. Like if this was this bad, most women try to get out. It didn't look like she tried to make any effort. She literally was panicking. I mean, yeah, she was on her phone with somebody, but it didn't seem like she was like making plans to leave. She literally was talking about I can't do this, and she turns around and Shota looks at her and she just burns on with a skull. I just feel like there's more. I feel like just like I feel like she shouldn't be let off the hook just because she's this lady. She was this woman in a relationship she couldn't get out of, which I still don't believe. Um, 'Cause it's one of those things of like I feel like she is just as powerful as Endeavor. Like I feel like, but we don't. The problem is we don't know the full extent of her quirk, how powerful it actually is. We only know the reason why they end up in a relationship to begin with. On top of things, like it doesn't seem like Endeavor was all that bad of a guy because I mean she mentions that he's come by the hospital several times. She knows it. She hasn't met with him because she can't do it. But
Mhm.
she only mentioned one time, and it was when they first started. I think she said specifically when they first started dating that she mentioned that there was this flower that she liked, and she only mentioned it once to him for whatever reason. And apparently he keeps coming around and keeps leaving her the same flower.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting
What
there
flower?
saying, I mean, you can say, like, I mean, if we go with the idea that she is totally innocent, we can't go with the idea that he's all bad. Like, I feel like that's two extremes that we like. I feel like you can't go with because we don't know what happened in it.
It just feels like complete conjecture at the best.
I mean, I'm saying these accusations off of what I don't know. Like, I still feel like she's got to be responsible for something besides burning her own son with water, which was ridiculous, by the way. She should have been put in jail for that too. 'Cause I think abuse that's considered child abuse, but she wasn't put in a jail. She was put in a mental institution.
So that's got to tell you something, right? If they thought it was partially her fault, they would have tried her. It's really hard to hurt a child and end up in a mental institution instead of where you should be.
Not really. I mean, I'm gonna institute something that's not in the show that's been at this point at racism.
People can't wait to condemn somebody that's burned a child and scarred them for life.
I mean, I get all that, but I feel like I mean, if she's proven to be 100% innocent, I will take that and I will eat the hat that comes with that being wrong. But at the same time, I still feel like I can't 100% take her off the hook in my mind. Maybe you can, and that's good for you. Maybe you reconciled all that, but I haven't really reconciled all that.
Yeah.
Because I look at that, just like things that we don't know about the relationship at all, and I still feel like she's like, you can claim she's crazy and stuff like that, but at the same time, she was still with him, regardless of any real mental hold. I feel like at some point you would have to, your mind would have to say, I could probably leave. I could probably overpower him because he needs me.
Hmm.
So it's like I don't know. There's so many variables there with her. She like it didn't need to end up with her burning her son and then going and then be put into a mental institution by Endeavor or whoever put her in there.
Right.
And so I still feel like there's something going on in that family we don't know about. And I feel like just like it maybe has a lot to do with Toya, and maybe that's really what it comes down to is like Minato is very like his second oldest son seems to be really flustered by the fact that Toya isn't there anymore, and the fact that he never got a chance to know his younger brother, because he was very upset that he didn't know what his younger brother liked.
Hmm.
And maybe the entire family ain't innocent either, crying out loud. But I don't know. I mean, so far, like it seems like Toriyama might be the most innocent in my mind, because he was the most traumatized. Because like I just don't know. Like I mean, why did he put him in a mental institution either? I mean, like he was just as traumatized as she was. He had the
So
scalding hot water on his face.
if Dobby turns out to be Endeavor's kid, are you going to feel like maybe that guy was traumatized and that maybe this reflects on things a little bit?
I'm gonna I'm gonna say the piece on Dobby being his son, if it's true or not, because a lot of things are leading up to that point that it's true. But
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, he was traumatized. You can clearly see all over Dobby's face.
I mean, he makes a reference right at the end of the episode about how he thinks about it more than anybody else. And then they have that weird like blood coming out from underneath his eye sewed areas or something like that to like build that up.
I mean, he's clearly is traumatized because he went out of his way to like augment his face.
Yeah.
The only thing that seems to be like he had from birth is his blue eyes, which by the way, Endeavor has blue eyes too. So
Yeah, and they actually show a lot of his episode. It's like the first time where you don't see him covered in fire. It took me a minute to get used to that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said before, like as much as I want, like I'm willing to take all the brunt that comes with Toya being Dabi and what that meant for Endeavor's entire like life as a father.
Yeah.
I've come to terms with him being a horrible person, but I also want him to at least fix things. He doesn't need to be redeemed. That's what the word. He doesn't need to be redeemed as much as him fixing things. Most of the time,
The,
when it comes to redemption arcs, they kind of fall flat. Vegeta.
one of the better pieces of evidence that he might be Dobby that's like, you have to read between the lines for it, but when he gets scarred by Dobby, first of all, there's the scarred by Dobby in the exact same way that Todoroki was scarred. So that seems kind of telling to me. There's a sort of weird justice in it. And then when Hawks is talking to him, he says, "Well, at least the worst is over now." And he goes, "No, it's only begun." And then the next thing he does is meet his kids and say, like, "I want to make up." So if you're thinking of it from his perspective, and he knows that Dobby is his son, and then his son like scarred him in the face the exact way that Todoroki did, and then suddenly he decided it's time to like
Well,
make
the
up with.
scar was given to him by Noma. It wasn't Dabi directly, and I don't think Endeavor knows that's his son, or even has the iota that is his son. I don't think he's thought about Toya in years. I think it's one of the
That's a
main reasons why Natsuo is so angry at him in the first place.
So it's just pure like dramatic irony that like he has the same scar as his son. Then I can buy that. I'm just trying to see if that's what you're saying.
I wouldn't say it's dramatic irony, but I will say I do see what you mean. That Scar being in the exact same place. I saw that. I thought about that like when I saw it. I was like, that Scar's in the exact same freaking place. I mean, they even show you with Todoroki Shoto looking at his father, and you can see the Scar was in the exact same place. But
Yeah.
I think it's meant to mean something, but I don't think it's like meant to mean anything right now. Because I think,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things telling there that obviously that Dobby and Endeavor have a history, but I don't think Endeavor realizes it if they have any history. Because I will say that that first encounter with him, Dobby was different. He never acted that way with Deku. He never acted that way. He acted a little bit differently when I think did he come in contact with Todoroki, or was he like never in contact with Todoroki at all?
Um, when Dobby?
Yeah, Dobby, was he ever in contact with Shoto at all?
I'm not familiar enough to be sure, but I bet he wasn't because it'd be a really interesting fight to see those two going head to head.
Yeah, that is also true. Maybe he's purposely not been in front of Shoto for reasons so that he didn't have to explain anything. But yeah,
Yeah.
his interaction with him though is like weird. I guess speaking of that whole situation, speaking of Endeavor and people liking him, um, you think of Hawks' situation this isn't part of the reason why I don't like him or know what side he's on, but I guess there's a little bit later on that confuses me in the manga. They kind of explained it a little bit better here, but I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop because I feel like they still haven't explained his entire situation yet.
Yeah.
But what's your take on Hawks now?
My take on Hawks, I think that I didn't expect him to be so suspicious, but like it's kind of interesting because they picked him for this because they think he's honest and one of the few that doesn't have a big conflict of interest. So it's like I don't know. I didn't suspect him in the first place, but now he's definitely become a lot more interesting.
Well, for one, he's definitely the mole that they mentioned.
Is he though?
Yeah, he is. That was the whole thing. That's why he was like, that's why he's supposed to be in cahoots with League of Villains, but also not. He is that mole that no one else knows about.
And that makes sense to me, except like I don't know. It's difficult to say that it's been worth it. I haven't seen any way that the good guys had benefited from his moleship so far. I know he's trying to join the league and everything, but like if this is really like I don't know, if this is really like the best they've done so far, do you know what I mean? Then it's weird to
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I remember reading up to that point and finding out that he was the mole, and being up really pissed off, and I forgot what it was, but because like I didn't know what side he was playing, and that's my biggest problem with his character. That's why I didn't like him when he got introduced. That's why when you sitting there like wondering why was I didn't like him at all, whatever. Like this is like one of the reasons like he is so ambiguous that it's not even fun.
yeah, but I just like it's they probably want you to feel that way about him, but like I haven't seen a single advantage that the good guys have had because of his moleship. Like
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the point because like, from the way that those people described him, he was supposed to be in there just trying to get intel that would help them in case they would ever come across another villain from the League of Villains that they needed to take down because they were concerned that when All for One jumped in Kamino, everything seemed to be stemming from that Kamino situation. Uh, when they had that fight with All Might and All for One, they weren't prepared for him. So I think the whole
right.
idea was he's supposed to go in there, learn what he can, and get out. But according to what I can see with his interaction with Dobby, Dobby doesn't trust him.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I don't think he can get any closer in there. But the other problem, just since too, is like he's been giving them so much information, which is how they got into UA to begin with. Have they been able to do a lot of things they've been able to do for so long because people were wondering where the heck they get this information from.
Right.
But the other thing too is like I don't understand why is Dobby the I guess the person he's meeting? Because like because I wonder when Hawks was even like when did Hawks start doing this? Because I think back to the first time that the villains got into in season one, episode nine or whatever, when they were doing the tournament, well not tournament with the training exercise with
Exactly.
with
That was All Might was in real danger during part of that fight. Well, I guess he wasn't, but he revealed a huge weakness. Right. The other thing is like if they've really been that far back, why is Dobby having a tough time? I mean, that
well
means he
Dobby
predates
didn't Dobby
himself,
wasn't
doesn't it?
brought in, but Dobby wasn't brought in till like the end of season one when they had all the villains come together.
So what right does Dobby have to even doubt him at that point? He's been in this longer than Dobby has.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of questions I don't know. And
But
maybe he isn't the mole, but at the same
no,
time, it seems kind of weird that they would say he's a mole and he's not the mole they're talking about.
but that like even predates their knowledge of the group in the first place, doesn't it? At that point.
Well, I mean, League of Villains didn't even start because Shigaraki was a team player. So no, I mean, uh, well, actually no, into the back because he was working with the Portal dude. He was working with a couple other like rickshaw villains.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like a team player. He just didn't know how to use his team properly. But yeah, it predated Dobby, Toka, and all those people twice from even being involved in all this.
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason I would think is that maybe it's not that Dobby doesn't trust him. He just could care less about what Hawks wants because I mean it was quite clear when he said Hawks said that you told me that there was going to be an attack tomorrow. All of a sudden, I'm having dinner of Endeavor and I get jumped. Like it's like Hawks wasn't expecting to be caught in that crossfire, but unfortunately he was.
Right. I'm
Because
trying to think. Did so the raid on the Noma layer, for example, if Hawks was inside with all this stuff,
but
the
no,
raid
because like
to end All Might's career.
that was a Kamino fight. Like that was the last time All Might ever fought was during his fight with All for One.
Right, but they lost some top heroes in that fight, like debilitated, depowered, stuff like that. Like that's just okay. Like I don't know. That doesn't seem like it should be okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Hawks seems to be, from what I can tell from here, because I don't know much about Hawks at all, which is why I don't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from what I can tell from this one, which everything they show right here is about all I know about him. I don't know how to feel about him, and from the way things are looking, you're right. The heroes didn't benefit from anything he's been doing,
And
but the heroes caught on. The heroes caught on to there being a mole, so I'm kind of confused about if there was a mole that UA sunk in there. Why didn't no one else know about it?
yeah, that just seems like a key time to do something about something, doesn't it? Like to let them know, like, hey, these guys have a lot more firepower than you think. You should be coming a little more prepared than this.
But as you
I
can see,
don't.
That's why I don't know what line he is treading. It's very confusing, and that's probably why I was so upset when I first read it. You're probably actually hitting on a nail on the head for me because I didn't know why I was. I didn't know why I was so upset with this guy at all, or why I didn't like him that much. Because
Yeah,
I couldn't quantify why I just didn't trust and care or like him at all. I think you're quantifying it perfectly, actually. Um, I didn't
because
expect
the
this to
heroes would have
actually.
been suspicious and been like, hey, wait a minute, why were these guys properly prepared for the attack? You know what I mean? Nobody would have like questioned Hawks for them coming in because they were already doing a raid. So I don't know. I just feel like there was some times where he could have like helped out a little bit. Maybe we'll find out he has been helping out a little bit, but it just seems like not right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's kind of my biggest issue with him as right now.
Yeah.
So
I So we're obviously like the point of this is going to be to ask a lot of questions. I have to say that one thing that kept coming up in my mind when we were watching this, when I was watching this episode, was that I was starting to wonder if you were right and this was the last season.
No, this wasn't
The
the last season. I mean, I think there's gonna be more, but the
the pace
creator,
that they're
the
trying to
creator of the
maintain in
show. Hmm?
the pace that they're trying to maintain with this though seemed like breakneck.
I think they've always been this quick, if I'm being honest. Because I mean, nothing's ever like stuck around too long. You know, crying out loud, with the way they dealt with Chisaki, that was quick. I don't even
Yeah,
remember if the manga was as
it's
quick as that one.
not like episode 2 of the season. Sometimes they go like really fast in the last one or two episodes, but like they're trying to accomplish like a frantic amount with this one. Like they have the whole Midoriya thing, they had the Dobby plot, they have the Hawks reveal. Like they were bringing a lot of stuff out all at once. I thought.
But I think that's how he wants to do it though, because like I mean, because I will say about the Deku stuff as we end this podcast off. Um, I remember specifically complaining. This is before I even knew about this. I remember specifically complaining that Deku's growth in his power hasn't been satisfying to me. Specifically for me, I feel like he should be much further along. But it looks like from what we can tell, he's going to receive a power boost from what we can see from his dreams, because now he's been speaking with the first creator of all for one for all. Excuse me, one for
Yeah,
all.
that's all right. I got you.
So so yeah, like it looks like Deku's going to receive a power boost, because he got just to see in the reenactment, which is confusing. I don't know how that works. It feels like it's the Avatar state, but it's different. But you can
There's
see,
so many. Don't even get me started on similarities between this and Avatar.
but it seems like he's the ninth user for this, and which is also strange. 'Cause I also remember All Might saying that he never, like when Deku first, because they bring back when he first activated this back in season 2 during the tournament thing. When they bring back when he first activated this little thing, All Might said he never experienced this, which is weird. This is the second time he's done this, and now he's seeing full on visions of the previous users. Well, actually, I think he sees, no, he doesn't see All Might because he's number 8. So he saw 7, he saw 6, I want to say, and maybe
Mhm.
4 or 5. Actually, no, 5. I think I might have seen 5 because there's still some people that he can't see, and he sees the originator because that's the one
Yeah, the
talking to him.
originator like seemed to give him some sort of glow up, right?
I guess I don't know what he did there. He seemed to say that I wanted to show you more, but you can barely access 20%. But that's okay, is
Yeah,
what he said.
like his scarred hand was like glowing.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it might have been a power up. I have no idea. It didn't look any different, if I'm being honest. It just seemed like
Do you watch?
the veins
Do
that
you
pop
watch
up.
the
Hmm?
preview for the next episode? You skipped the previews, right?
Yeah, I mean, I already saw the title, class 1A versus class 1B.
But during the preview, he talks about how his like powers are changed. Now that my powers have changed, I forget the exact wording, but he taught. Let me jump to it because he literally calls out his powers and says, "Now that they're different, like blah blah blah, we have this like new challenge to do."
I mean, I already kind of know what happened to his power, which is why I
Well,
skipped it and why I'm not trying to say anything, and you're not making it easy.
sorry. Well, anyway, it seemed like that dream did something to his powers because he said, "Now that my powers have changed, blah blah blah."
Well, I don't know
So
much about what that dream did. I just know the end result. But
yeah,
like I said before, all I can really tell is that I don't know what was going on there, but he was clearly seeing what happened in the heyday of All for One. And you saw what happened with him and his younger brother, which we always hear about that, but we never see it. Which is it's a good time we get a chance to see it for the first time. Um,
yeah.
I'm still kind of curious about how, I guess, how he's still alive inside One for All. I mean, I think All Might said something about maybe to take a piece of themselves when they transfer the power over. Is that maybe how that's working? But I'm actually kind of surprised too of all the people he's talking to. I'm surprised he's not talking to what's her name? The All Might's predecessor. So she hasn't spoken at all to him, which is even weirder considering how much she's wrapped up on all this.
Yeah.
You think he used to be speaking to number 7 at least, because number 8's not dead yet.
Number eight's not. Oh yeah, All Might's not dead yet. You'd think he'd be speaking to number 7. Maybe he's just gotten around. He doesn't seem to have a lot. It's more like number 7 hasn't spoken to him. He doesn't seem to have a lot of control.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't like number 7 hasn't spoken to him at all. I would have thought that up to this point she at least would have, because like I mean that would have been an interesting way to bring in the whole vision thing, and vestiges is what they call the episode, vestiges. So it'd been interesting if maybe they had him randomly speak to her, maybe, or maybe have her like appear and Deku kind of notice her and then she disappears. It would have been. I feel like, as you said before, they kind of like breaknecking everything like that. I feel like that could have actually been brought in a lot smoother than it was. I mean, yeah, they did it one time in season 2, but at that time we didn't know what the heck that was.
Right.
Like everybody was freaking out. Like, what in the world happened there? And I initially brushed it out with that maybe it was just something that happened with the quirk, because I mean he explained it had something to do with the quirk. But
Yeah.
I just okay, so that may have something Deku can do, like Ultra Instinct or something like that. But I kind of found out that apparently now that his power is growing, he's now going to dream mode now. So and it seems to only be happening because Deku is now utilizing 20%. So that kind of makes you wonder. I wonder when he's going to go into that dream mode again, and like, is it going to happen at 50% or is it going to happen at like 75 or 25? Like, when's it going to happen again? Because he said up to that point he's been training himself to the near exhaustion. He goes home and he ends up falling asleep and he ends up in that dream again. Not really a dream, more like a, I don't know what you call it, because he has control of his right hand and he has his eyes, but he doesn't have his feet.
Mm-hmm.
He called out specifically he doesn't have the ability to stand.
Does he have 20% of himself? Is that the?
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I thought about that when I said about that, but like if 20% is just his right hand and a little bit part of his face, like that's not a lot. Which explains why he couldn't see anymore.
It'd be interesting to see if like how manifested they were is correlated with how much of All Might they mastered. Like if the people that only show up partially, like were just the people that never mastered All Might.
One for all.
One for all, yeah. Sorry.
No, no problem.
But you get what I'm saying. Like that would be kind of a cool little twist if like you're only as visible as how much you got in it, because some of the people there weren't manifested at all, and weren't some of them kind of partially manifested? Or am I making that?
I mean, you can see most of them. I know number 7 for sure. You could see most of her. You couldn't see past her waist though, but you can see most of her.
Why were you looking past her waist?
I wasn't looking past her waist.
That's a little weird that you brought it up like her waist like that. Like, are
I
you
w-
okay? I'm
you,
just trying to figure out what's going on.
you couldn't see you couldn't see the entire character. But I feel like that was mostly just an art direction versus like, I don't know if that would. You could be right though. I never thought about it like that. Why he couldn't, like, why his hand and his only half of his face was visible. But that could just be a
But that
visible
would count
representation of how much the
yeah,
power he had.
so, and it was also like his right hand is the one that used the power the most too. So it'd be kind of cool in that respect as well, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I just never thought about that. I'm actually kind of upset that I didn't think about that, because I was not. I would thought that was just some visual thing they decided to do, but it actually kind of makes sense visually. Because I mean, how else would he know how much of One for All he was able to use?
Yeah, the guy looked right at him and said, "You can only do about 20%, right?" Or didn't he like show a range or something?
Like, he said
Like,
you can barely use 20%, is what he said.
yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things. Like, yeah, I guess like I never thought about that. I never thought about how he would know. I mean, yeah, he's inside the quirk, but how much of the outside world can you see? Yeah, that's a weird thing. I don't know. Like, I mean, it makes sense. I just never thought about it that, and I wonder if they're gonna explain that. I guess that's about it. I mean, other than like the ending showing them preparing for another what looks to be like another exam. And some heroes have gotten a costume change. Namely, Bakugo is now wearing a full body black suit, which is I think the only thing that's changed, and a high collar. Uh, Crazy Momo has got a cape now, probably to help with the fact that she's trying to create so many things that tears her suit apart.
Hmm.
I think that's about it though. I don't remember anybody else that got any costume changes. I think Todoroki was at a costume change, but I don't remember. I can't think of anything else to like I guess to harp
I should
about.
have paused on that, but I didn't. I didn't take the time to pause on that and figure out what was going on. I guess.
What about the costume changes?
Yeah.
I don't even know what these costume changes are for, because I mean, a lot of times, I mean, they made a big deal. I mean, I know, what's her name? Midnight made a big deal about like costumes being versatile, and I mean, she went on the whole thing about like how females and their costumes have changed over the years. But so yeah, I don't know how versatile like Bakugo having a full body sleeves is, but maybe it'll make it easier to funnel his sweat through. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Crazy is just so because she has a problem with war jump functions in her quirk. So I think that's the only reason the cape exists.
So when do you think they're going to get to the main character in this? We know Froppy goes shopping, but we don't know anything else about what she does on that shopping trip. Do you think she gets like some major plot device there?
I don't know what's happening with Rafi.
In the ending,
Not much is even said. They don't pander her. The only thing that changed with her is her ability to go invisible. But
she must be like, they must be saving her to like come in and save the day at the end.
I mean, hey, I mean, there's another character kind of like her as it is, that bunny girl. She's kind of the exact
Oh, you
same
shut your
thing.
mouth. You shut your mouth.
I mean,
Take it
come
back.
on, they both got long feet. They both
Take,
got like they both get
take it
ammo.
back
They both get
now.
ammo characteristics.
Take it back now.
I mean, that could be Froppy's like ultimate goal at the end of it.
Oh my god. You take that back.
What? You don't want her to become a cool hero that bounces around using her rug abilities? I mean, they both can hop. They both can hop. They both can hop, sir. They're almost similar.
Sir,
Literally.
sir.
I never even thought about this, actually. They're very similar.
Oh my god.
It's actually ridiculous. I never thought about it. The
But
only thing different the only thing different is that she's an amphibian and she's a mammal.
Bunny Girl can't do that thing with her tongue.
We don't know that.
We feel like we can't, like we do.
I didn't even know frogs could even eject their stomachs, so this is a first for me. I don't know what I don't know what rabbits can do or cannot do.
I mean, in bed, Froppy would be the only one that could swallow and spit.
I feel like I say this every time I talk to you. I need to tell just to slap you at least once. Give you a good like, wow, Elizabar is here. Elizabar apparently is here, and you said that.
Lizamar can take it.
I don't know. I mean, he's got 3 dots in the chat right now. I think he's questioning why he's here. Yeah, now he's like, I think I'm gonna just. I think you just scared him away now.
No, I don't scare away visitors. I'm the reason they come here.
I'm sorry, Elizabar. I had nothing to do with that, and I just dropped the viewer.
Did he leave?
Well, we'll see in a minute. Yeah, he left.
Aw.
No, he's still here. Wait. He's a moderator. Wait a minute. There's a 6 Cyrus in chat that's been lurking.
Oh my gosh.
What? You're confusing me about what I'm doing, and I'm me. Well, somebody left. I don't know who it was, but it happened after you mentioned the swallow and spit thing. Yeah, there's a Six of Cyrus lurking in the chat right now. He might not hear me, but I know he's there. Here's a Steve in the chat. But yeah. Joking aside, I don't know if it's still gonna give Froppy more abilities because I feel like she's the type of character that needs them to stay relevant. Which
If
is
I can, I know you're being respectful by bringing this up, but if I can make a point, I think Froppy is going to just kind of melt into the background. Like they're going to be bringing um, when they're doing this next tournament and it's Class A versus Class B. I see the upperclassmen in Class A like in the group, so that means we're going to meet all the upperclassmen of Class B as well. You know what I mean, to make this even. And they've already hinted that there's going to be like a newcomer that's a big deal because they were like, "What? You're going to come into this too?" And like that's supposed to be like a hint that there's a surprise person like joining the fray in the next episode. And I think that like Froppy just doesn't have anything that's going to make her stand out enough. Like I think that everything just the
she's gonna
series,
she's
the
gonna
character.
develop the most amazing power. Froppy will develop the light speed tongue, striking faster in reaction time.
You'd like to think so. I just don't think so. I think that she's too mild mannered. She's too vanilla, and I think that like she's going to just the cast of this. The cast of My Hero Academia is obscene at this point. Like, I don't know if they're trying to like set up for like a card game after this or something like that, but like every single series, like they almost double the overall cast. So I think that's just going to happen again at this point, don't you?
No, because she's part of Class 1A, and I feel like that group like when you think characters are gonna like fade out and fade out into the background, I think a character's like Invisigirl because she's literally fading into the background. But
A Visit Girl's never been in the forefront. I mean, literally and figuratively.
I feel like Froppy because like what they did with her, like I feel like she's gonna do more, and mainly because she's going a different route. Just because they're not focusing on her, doesn't mean that they're gonna forget about her. I don't think so because I didn't even think much of Uraraka when they first introduced her. It was only after her introductions and her interactions with people I was like yeah, they're doing a lot with her. I mean, I was like, one of my biggest fears with her anyway is that she is the shonen manga female character they have. Right now, my biggest concern is that they're going to do something with her, and it's going to just make her irrelevant to like the finale when the main character needs to marry somebody. And I don't want that for her. Like I like her. I want her to have a love interest, but I don't want that to be her main character. So if anybody, I would say, I know you're joking around. If anybody will fade in the background, it's probably going to be her because like so far you haven't done anything with her besides that whole I'm gonna hold my emotions back for Deku thing.
But she
So
has a story arc. Froppy doesn't have a story arc. Froppy's story arc is, hey, I'm doing okay. I'm keeping up. You know what I mean? That's like basically her story arc.
you see, Uraraka's a story. All it is that I'm in love with Deku. I'm gonna hold my emotions back because I think it's impeding my hero work. I don't like
She's
that.
also like, she also is trying to take care of her family. Do you know what I mean? And she has her own like stubborn, strong side to her. She builds alliances with people. Like she's part of the girl group. Like I don't know. She has potential to do something. She's also learned new powers. Do you know what I mean? And better control over her existing powers. I just don't. I think that she has a lot more going for her, like backstory and everything. Than I mean, the deeper you get with Froppy, the more Froppy it gets. It's just like, oh, here's Froppy's family, and they're all, and here's Froppy's new ability, and it's a frog ability, and here's, you know what I mean? It's like not that great, and here's like the next Froppy thing, and it's just, it's all Froppy. But like with the other one, like you have like bodies, the shape shifting character, like use her, do you know what I mean, as a manipulative point. Like even when she's not there, she's there as like a presence in some way. So I just don't see it. I don't see that becoming irrelevant.
I don't know because like all I'm seeing right now is what they're doing with her is with Uraraka is what they've been doing with other main female characters of shows like that that have connections to the main character. It's like they're not doing much with her, and then like when they were doing something with her, it was awesome. But then the last thing they did with her that I remember is, and maybe there's something else with her recently I don't remember, but that's what I remember is her whole thing with Deku, and she's been all crushing over Deku and stuff like that. Um, which was quite obvious from the first interaction that was going to happen. But I just don't like how it seems like it's gonna be. It's all that it's all that she's all about now. That she's in love with the main character, and she's fighting that until the point where she says, "I'm gonna hold back my emotions because I don't want that to impede my progress or his progress." But out of that, that's been her progression line. It's a big old fat fart.
I don't know. I see more. Like I said, I see depth. She's got a purpose that's independent. She's got that weird level triangle thing going with the shapeshifter. The she's got her own, like, she's got her own friends. She's got her own life. She's got her own world. You know what I mean? That she's in. She's got her own plot development. I think, I don't know. There's whether something actually happens is yet to be. I think it's very difficult to say that she has no potential for that to happen.
I mean, I hope you're right. I hope that they do more with her. But like right now, like some of my fears about what happens to most like female characters, the ones that are part of the main cast who have a connection with the main character, like my fears are still becoming more strong. It's like I feel like they're gonna do it to her, and it's not gonna be. I'm just not gonna be upset because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
they did more Froppy, more with her than they did with with Froppy than they ever did with Uraraka. I mean, freaking Uraraka was never like the star of an episode. Like, you can make an argument that she kind of was with her fight with Bakugo, but Bakugo was still kind of the main draw of that episode. I mean, yeah, I will agree that Uraraka's got her own drive and whatnot, but a drive doesn't mean much of the creator isn't going to do much with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all my concerns. And granted, this creator of the story has actually done a good job with every character, but I'm just sad that they're kind of dropping off and focusing on other ones. Like I kind of want to see. This show is doing things with characters I never thought mangakas could ever do. Just focus on an entire cast.
I
Um,
do worry that, like, they hook me because I do get invested in the new characters every time they go through. Like, I find a few characters that I like and that I'm rooting for by the end of it. Um, like now I'm kind of intrigued by Hawks, for example. Do you know what I mean? But like, I do get like a little tired of having to fall in love with characters and then having the story like essentially thrown away, or even just being mildly interested in the characters. Like that kid that can shoot water from his hands and had his parents die. Like, they built this whole character up and then they just kind of like throw it aside, and like they've got so much on the cutting room floor now at this point that like you feel like maybe they'll never get back to again, and like that is a little bit disappointing. Do you know what I mean?
well, I mean, there's a side story called My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I don't know if he's in there because some characters do kind of fall from here and into that thing.
Mm-hmm.
What they've been doing in that, I don't know because I haven't read it. I've been kind of wondering if they were ever going to get an anime for it, but they haven't. I don't know if it's still going.
Yeah.
Because I've been hearing that some characters have been popping up in there. Even Endeavor, from what I can tell, has also popped up in there as well. So I don't know. Because they talk about Endeavor being a vigilante at his when he was first being getting his name out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those. I guess I don't know. Like I said, I understand how you feel about her, but I still don't. I feel like they're going to do more with her before they even touch Uraraka. I feel like right now Uraraka is stalled out until they get to the end of the series when Deku needs a love interest. That is ultimately I think where Uraraka's going to fall. Because that's all they really been focusing on her. Even in the little gag scenes that she's been doing, she's floating around thinking about Deku, and anytime she starts floating, she's looking outside the window, and Deku's out there training, and she's looking at him intently. And I kind of stopped that with her saying she's gonna hold back her emotions, but that still concerns me because that could become a situation where it impedes her so much because she's like, romantically stalled, this is going to impede on her. And I'm so afraid because she has all that potential, like you said. Like I do see all that potential, but what they doing right now with her is concerns me because I don't want her to end up like Sakura. I don't want to end up like kind of like Orihime. I'm calling out character names you don't know. I'm just saying that these are the characters I'm afraid that she's going to turn into.
Shout out to Kamagori Higure, by the way.
Hmm?
Shout out to Kamahori Higure. It was a good shout out. That's what I'm trying to say.
Kamahori Higure. What? Who's that? What?
I don't know, whoever you said.
That's his Sakura and then Orihime.
Oh, Sakura Horihime.
um, and sometimes like a little bit Hinata too. I'm just saying that some of these characters, like they're female characters that kind of had a presence, but as the series went on, they focused on the main characters. They kind of just fell to the background, and they only came back up when they were going to be paired up with a main character.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things like Hinata's a perfect example of like I'm afraid of. Hinata from Naruto, she was fascinated and infatuated with Naruto. She spent the most of the series that was her stick. But she came from she had another background where she could have been had a lot of potential, but did nothing with it. And she only became relevant later on when she helped out the main character, almost died trying to protect him. And by the end of the series, she ends up marrying him. But you kind of saw that happening, but it was like it worked out for her because at least that was what you expected from her. I expect so much more from Uraraka, and now they're relegating her to this. I don't know. I'm probably like unnecessarily like pessimistic, and I will admit that. But I just don't know. Like I don't
I
see an
mean,
out.
it is an anime.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Animes do like to forget about their female characters, so you're not like completely crazy or anything like that.
Like I see them doing more of Froppy, and that's not even joking. I see them doing more of Froppy than Uraraka. For kind
She's
of
just
loud.
there. She's just there to be interesting and add flavor to the theme. Like she's
You would
not.
say that, but they kind of paired them up for the first season, and it seemed like kind of Suma had interest in him. Maybe not romantically, but I mean, given more time if they wanted to, they could have easily went that direction with her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like it's just like right now, I'm very concerned because it seems like now Uraraka's growth as a character has kind of been halted. But we're at an hour now, and we've probably been live for an hour and 50. So we're going to end it here. Next week, I'm going to come back, hopefully with fixed audio issues. Hoping, crossing everything. Um, and we're going to be reviewing 3 episodes. One from My Hero, and then 2 from Shaman King. So
Okay.
I can't wait to talk about that with you. But until then, see you guys next week. Sorry for audio issues again.